Alex Polizzi, a great believer in and champion of British services, products and design. And I'm here in New York helping to promote 5 brilliant UK companies who we think have what it takes to crack the American market. Let's get this on. But they're not going it alone. They're being assisted in their corporate quest by the UK's Department for Business and Trade, DBT, using its global experience and New York presence to give our 5 businesses the best of chances.
My goal as Trade Commissioner is continuing to develop our expertise about the US market so we can match people, match companies, and really help to inspire more business flow.
But how will this work? First, they'll need to gain that crucial local insight. We'll set them up with an expert in their target market.
Just imagine yourself 10 years from now, you'll be doing a version of this with Goldman Sachs as they fund your IPO.
Yeah, sorry. This is why we love Americans, right?
Then it's time for our UK businesses to step up
I did.
as they're paired to pitch with some of America's biggest buyers.
We manage about 66 million square feet of real estate in New York.
I'll see the other side.
Thank you.
Part of the attraction, I think, for American consumers is the expectation and the understanding that what British companies bring with them is world-class expertise and experience and world-class quality. Whatever the product, whatever the service, you know that with a British company, you're going to get the best.
And hopefully they'll seal that all-important international deal and unleash the power of British business by making it big in America. This is David Tyler, Commercial Director and co-founder of Artemis Technologies, a Belfast-based maritime company rich in racing heritage. They're hoping to make a big splash in New York.
We are developing technologies to help the maritime sector decarbonise. So we're developing a suite of transformative technologies together that we call the Artemis e-foiler system to decarbonise high-speed maritime transport. New York is potentially a huge market for us. We're developing a 150-passenger high-speed ferry to help decongest road and rail networks and provide the extra capacity as populations increasingly grow.
And it's an opportunity that DBT thinks is perfect for Artemis.
You see the waterways here in New York, whether that's of the East River or the Hudson River, teeming with ferry activity every single day, taking commuters to and from their homes and their offices. What we've seen over the last few years is a real push from the administration here in New York City to increase the sustainability of public transport, to reduce that carbon footprint. So you get a company like Artemis with their product, and it's custom built perfectly for what New York City is looking for right now.
And there are also burgeoning sectors that could provide Artemis with further opportunities to transform maritime transportation. To do this, David needs to showcase his company's pioneering vessels to the diverse array of potential companies across the pond and gather as many insights as possible to penetrate a market with complex and lengthy procurement processes. So, I'm catching up with David to find out more. Hi, David.
Hi, Alex. Great to meet you.
So nice to meet you too. I'm really excited to be here. In your ideal scenario, what is it that you'd be getting out of today?
Huge opportunities here in New York, particularly for our technology. And recently, there was a big announcement around funding available for decarbonisation of ferries, whether it be high-speed passenger ferries, serving local commuters. There's opportunities for tourism vessels too, but also on the workboat side. There's big ports here, a lot of harbour operating vessels like pilot boats. It's going to be really interesting to find out more about the opportunities with the burgeoning offshore wind sector. The market is quite mature in Europe, particularly around the coast of the UK, but really it's only just starting here in the US. So hopefully that's a sign of the things to come.
Procurement of these types of contracts can be complex and lengthy, but UK companies enjoy a global reputation. It's no wonder that the Department for Business and Trade is keen to put Artemis Technologies on New York's radar.
Part of the attraction, I think, for American consumers is the expectation and the understanding that what British companies bring with them is world-class expertise and experience and world-class quality.
water is 800 times denser than the air. So it means that for vessels that need to operate at high speed, they use a lot of energy. And because they use a lot of energy, currently they use fossil fuels, they create a lot of pollution as well. So we came up with the concept of the Artemis e-foiler system, which effectively combines a high-power density electric drivetrain, which was being redesigned and engineered for motorsport, integrated that into a hydrofoil, which is effectively a wing under the boat. And as the vessel accelerates, this wing creates lift. As the boat pops out of the water, it reduces the hydrodynamic drag and means that it uses significantly less energy.
These revolutionary boats grew out of a very successful racing team, and CEO Ian Percy sees the potential in using these developments in the business world.
What I liked about sport is there's a real clear validation that as a team you've made the right decisions, and business has that too. So winning for us is having our ferry in front of the Empire State Building. That is success. It's success in our mind also for the environment, but it's success for our business. And showing a marriage between Belfast shipbuilding industry and that passion and entrepreneurship over the US.
My ambition for the trip to New York is to really educate the potential customers there about the benefits of our technology.
We've arranged to meet offshore wind expert John Bigala in the fittingly windy environs of the Staten Island ferry. John is the Vice President for Federal and State Policy at the Business Network for Offshore Wind. This organisation is a non-profit that aims to develop the offshore wind renewable energy industry and its supply chain. And that means boats, lots of boats. So this could be a very important connection for David to make, as John could open many doors for Artemis.
In your early test runs, what are the approximate emissions reductions you see?
Well, the vessel's 100% electric, so it's completely zero emission in operation. Wow. And then it really comes down to a question of what's to make up of renewables within the energy you're using. So within the UK, it's pretty good. But as soon as we move to 100% renewables, then the electricity will be 100% emission free.
We're so interested in talking to you about the kind of offshore wind market.
The U.S. offshore wind market is at a really interesting stage because we are really moving finally from demonstration to deployment. And with the development of all these projects, we're going to see a major boom in the need for vessels. One of those, of course, being crew transfer, service and operations vessels. Our organization partnered with the U.S. Department of Energy and to do a study on what is all this growing demand going to require in terms of the number of vessels. And what we found is we'll need at least 58, probably more like 60 crew transfer vessels, at least 13, maybe more than 20 service and operations vessels. And to be able to meet that demand is going to be challenging.
I was reading that actually the vessels operating on the wind farms actually need to be built in that state. Is that correct?
Well, depends. It's complicated. Okay. Generally speaking, vessels in the U.S. that are going to be working on offshore wind farms will need to be built in the U.S. and what we call Jones Act compliant.
Yeah. But in the same state?
But not necessarily built in the same state. No, that's correct.
Obviously, with any process like this, there's an incredibly long tendering process. But who else should David be talking to?
Well, the Business Network, we are the host of the largest offshore wind conference in the United States. We just wrapped up our IPF. We had more than 4,000 people there. It was a massive success. We'll be in New Orleans next year, which is really the heart of a lot of the vessel operations here in the United States. And I would say the folks in New Orleans are the ones that will be very interested in your technology and trying to figure out a way that we can build it here and deploy it on our farms.
I think seeing is believing with this technology. Yeah. It's great to see the videos and things, but when you actually see the vessel taking off, flying towards you, it's just an incredible sight. So we're delighted to host you in Belfast to actually come and experience, pioneer and get on the water.
Be there? Well, and we should actually bring you over. We host a Ports and Vessels conference here in the U.S. It'll be in New Orleans this fall. I'd love to have you there. You can come meet a few of those folks that I was talking about earlier and make sure that everyone's aware of your technology.
Yeah, sounds great. Definitely come and check her out.
I think that invitation is a great step forward for David and Artemis. But will his next meeting be as productive? I want to prepare him for it by quizzing him on why New York is so important for Artemis, so he's primed for any questions that might come his way. Why do you think New York in particular is so ripe for this kind of development of the waterway routes for passenger ferries?
I think New York is a great example of what's happening in other places around the world as well, as cities look to try and decarbonise and decongest their busy transport networks. are starting to realise that there's the kind of huge potential of the water. I think also with ferries, it's very easy to increase the capacity as well. You know, it's a case of running another boat. And the New York Ferry Company in particular has gone from 0 ferries in 2015, I think, to almost 40 today. So they're certainly realising that.
There's so much potential for Artemis in New York. It's great to see David making the right connections to pursue these opportunities. For our second meeting in day one of David's networking trip, we're heading to Broadway to link up with Daniel Clark, Director of Business Development at New York City's Economic Development Corporation. This organization is critical in connecting businesses in the city and acting as an intermediary between local and international companies to drive growth in the Big Apple. So, we're keen to find out how David can connect with the people that run New York's ferry infrastructure and hopefully pitch Artemis's technology to them. How do you think we can introduce David to possible customers in New York? What's your role in this?
So one, we're a real estate developer. We manage about 66 million square feet of real estate in New York, and a lot of that is waterfront related. So when there's a match between a waterfront asset and a particular type of company employing technology that's also beneficial to the future of the city, there might be matchmaking made between that asset and the company. The second thing we do is large-scale infrastructure projects. So I know you rode the ferry today.
We did, yeah.
We also launched a ferry system of our own, the New York City Ferry. And we have over 36 stops across the 5 boroughs now. And that's all part of building infrastructure to support future development and unlocking the waterfront.
We're a UK company. We're based in Belfast. We're creating world-leading maritime technology, zero-emissions propulsion systems, 100% electric, high-speed vessels, including this what we call the EF24 passenger ferry. And so we're really looking to bring our technology to America, and what better place to start than New York City?
Sure. So what does success look like for you when you say bring your technology to New York?
We are selling to customers within a wide range of segments. So the high-speed passenger ferry market, which is obviously a big opportunity here in New York. We are also developing crew transfer vessels for the offshore wind sector. It's a huge industry within Europe, particularly within the UK.
And we know that this is something that's developing more and more in the US.
And then also working with a lot of ports and harbours around the world to help decarbonise their pilot boats and the vessels that operate within the ports themselves. So success for us would be to see this vessel flying around these waters in 3 to 5 years' time.
Typically, for these types of emerging technologies, what we see is opening of the marketing and sales office first, right?
Yeah.
We will work with in terms of making the initial introductions with once that new office is set up. It's making sure you talk with local government. There's over 50 federal, city, state incentives that apply to New York companies. It's complex, and you need a partner to help you out. So when you're doing business with the city, it's not as straightforward as you make your pitch and the dollars go on the table, right?
Yeah.
There is a competitive process, sort of city procurement. But conversations can, of course, be had before then. We have a program called the Public-Private Impact Initiative. At any time, a company can come in and pitch the city on, hey, I know you have this asset, say the New York City Ferries. Here's my idea for how to improve it.
I think that's it. For us, the process at the moment is just trying to educate people that this is a technology, this is the benefits of the solution. The big thing about this technology is which is why other cities are interested in, is not only a green solution, but because of the foiling technology, the vessels use way less energy and way less fuel, so it's actually cheaper to operate. So although it's a green solution, it's also economic.
The final piece of advice I would say to any UK company as well is just don't stop engaging with the local government and partners. We're here to help. And it can be complex, it can be confusing. Our job is to simplify and connect to opportunities. So this was a great conversation.
Yeah, brilliant. No, really appreciate your insights. Thanks so much.
Great.
Thank you so much. I think Daniel gave us some key insights there into how David and Artemis could start building lasting relationships in the Big Apple. It's in making these connections that DBT plays such a fundamental role. So how are you feeling after that meeting?
Yeah, feeling really good. I think it's been a great day. I've learned loads about the opportunities here around offshore wind and the passion from John about how exciting a time it is for that sector at the moment. And then meeting Dan and hearing how important the ferries are to New Yorkers now, how the fleet's grown from 0, 5 years ago to almost 40 today. It's clear that it's been a great success, particularly from commuters using it in the mornings and evenings to the tourists during the day. So the fact that they're looking at putting on new routes just shows me that there's more opportunity here.
So as much as anything, this is about continuing to educate people about your product.
Yeah, we're in this phase where we really need to raise awareness of what we're doing in Belfast. It's a new product. We're a relatively small new company, and been going 5 years or so. So yeah, we've got to kind of ramp up our activities, talk to as many customers as possible, and educate.
You've really inspired and enthused me, and actually it's been such an education for me. Thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.